We begin with our top story. Suspected hoodlums have detonated explosives at the River State Secretariat of the All Progressives Congress in Aba Road, Port Harcourt. Rise News reports that the main gate, security house, windows of the main building and some adjoining buildings. Factional chairman of the All Progressives Congress in River State, Tony Okocha, who addressed newsmen, says the All Progressives Congress is under attack in the state. He says it was called up early Saturday morning and was told that of the incident.
So now this morning we woke up at 3:30 precisely. My phone kept ringing and ringing and ringing. When I picked up, it was my admin notifying me that our office, had been attacked with explosives. And again, thank God that at least the DPO had come here to see for himself what happened. The log we had was that the one they threw at this particular spot did not detonate. This building would have gone down. You can see the impact. This one was the second attempt. After they did the first one, they came back the second time to set this building ablaze. I'm sure you would have taken your pictures and cameras up on it. Look at this one too. They also came here at the main office proper to see how they can set the place on fire. Well, just thank goodness, this structure is not our own. It's a rented apartment. And what do you think the people will be feeling right now? So we want to tell Nigerians that we are under attack. Our citizens, our leaders, differently are chased by their soldiers. When I say soldiers, I'm talking about uniformed soldiers. They are chasing us everywhere. And we are not budging. So what they felt they would do is to come and destroy our party secretariat. There's no voting unit here. No voting unit. It's purely APC Secretariat. So what was the attack? Why the attack here? This is the second time. Every time there's an event that the governor and his team are involved, APC will be marked out as scapegoats.
Our party secretariat have been attacked by some armed men, and some parts of the secretariat set on fire. We have videos to that effect. Unfortunately, there's a nexus between the political instability in Rivers State, particularly with respect to the local government elections, that had precipitated this attack on our party. You'd recall that it's our party that went to court to seek redress, to ask that due processes of law be obeyed in the build-up to this election. And it is expected that we are the targets, and it is clear that APC in Rivers State is under attack by the government of Rivers State-sponsored hoodlums.
It's a needless attack because APC as a party made it very clear that we are not participating in this election. Therefore, we shouldn't have been seen as a hindrance to this election because we have said we're not going to participate. So why destroy or come to destroy the party secretariat? What kind of act is that? I don't really understand why this should be happening in Rivers State, a state where everybody is in dire need of peace. You have seen the activities and antecedents of APC in Rivers State. It has always been peaceful demonstration, press conferences. There is no one incident that is linked to APC of violence or attack on properties or lives of Rivers people.
Still in the region, the battle for control of Rivers State has taken a dramatic turn, shifting to the local government level. This as Governor Siminalayi Fubara pushes for elections amid strong opposition from a vested interest allegedly backed by Abuja's power players. Fubara is adamant that the elections scheduled for today will proceed as planned, despite declaring Thursday and Friday as public holidays. However, the opposition has secured a court order blocking INEC from releasing the voter register to the state's election commission, leading to allegations of police invasion at the state electoral body in an attempt to seize election materials as the election is finally underway. It's now turned to Jake Epelle, a seasoned policy and political administrator, and of course Dr. Austin Tam-George, a former senior executive fellow at Harvard Kennedy School and public policy consultant, to speak on the ongoing election in Rivers State and share their perspective on local council autonomy and accountability, as well as federalism system in the country. Good to have you all on Arise News. And of course,
thank you for
very good. We're going to start with Mr. Epelle, who is in our Abuja studios. Just how significant are these local government elections to the current administration, you think? What is really at stake here, and should it be holding despite the political logjam in Rivers State at the moment?
Thank you, Ni. I think I would like to start by quoting what President Obama said on Amanpour's show. He said, "Democracy will win if we fight for it." On the heels of that, I want to say that in spite of the odds and all the somewhat self-inflicted issues that have been created by these political juggernauts in Rivers State, I can say today that democracy has spoken and is still speaking. From the information I gathered, despite the operational and political challenges faced by the Rivers State Independent Election Commission, the election is ongoing and people are participating in spite of all of the spanners that enemies of democracy threw to works. It's unfortunate that these issues have become the order of the day. It's unfortunate that people that initially clamored for the local government election when they were in office are now turning around to say the election shouldn't hold. And I will tell you just a straight answer to your question. The whole focus is to push the state to a point, specifically October 15th, which will eventually make it impossible for the state to access her allocation. And this is sheer wickedness. It's beyond political melodrama, which is playing out in my state. This is sheer wickedness because you will deny access to health for the aged that lives in that state as a result of the allocation. You will deny access to quality education. You will deny the people simple but godly and effective livelihood. Why would anybody get involved in this kind of venture at the expense of his own state? That to me is wickedness and selfishness. Unfortunately, for instance, what has happened, I listened with rapt attention the APC people that were talking about the bombing of their secretariat, which is very, very, very condemnable. However, just listening to them, you could pick from their body language and from their expression. There were no surprises in their voices, And so this can, and politicians do it. It can be a self-inflicted agenda for them to get attention. However, I'm not saying that because I don't have any evidence. However, for me, the little that I've read and know, when something happens to you that is of surprise, there's a way and manner you will communicate in your tone, in your body language, and then I will know that you were taken by surprise. But they were not doing that at all. So I think this whole thing needs to stop. We've had enough of this political theater that Rivers State have been subjected to by just a group of people that are not even 5% of the entire population of the state. This has to stop. It's not giving us any good image. It's not giving us any good political or democratic dividends. It has to stop, and it has to stop now. All the people involved, the Sibilala camp, Wike camp, go ahead.
Let's come to the studio now to Dr. Austin. Now, we know that Rivers State is not the only state holding local government elections. We have local government elections holding in 4 different states, but apparently it goes without saying why there's so much attention on Rivers State. But I would like to get your opinion on the fact that there was a court order restraining the state electoral body, that's the RCEC, to not provide the voter register to the state electoral body, and that the police also said that they were not going to provide security in the state. What position do you think the governor should have taken, or how do you think this situation should have been handled?
No, actually, there was an earlier court order from a Rivers State High Court, directing the governor and the Rivers State Electoral Agency to conduct the elections. And they had received this order. In a public statement yesterday, I think, the governor made it clear that that earlier order had already been communicated to all stakeholders, including the National Security Advisor, the Office of the Inspector General of Police, and other security stakeholders. So this purported order that came from Abuja actually came much later after an earlier order had authorized the governor to go ahead and hold the election. Which,
sorry to interrupt, which of course points to a bigger problem of different, court rulings. We've had several court rulings just on this election.
Yeah, but it just shows the desperation of those who are wanting to frustrate, truncate the electoral process in Rivers State. But it's a good thing that the governor, has shown a great deal of determination with the Rivers people to hold these elections. I have been receiving reports all across the state, since 6 a.m. I've been getting reports from stakeholders on the ground that the elections have actually gone so well, and that the people are choosing who should be their leader. There's something I need to point out, which is that now that the Supreme Court itself has, made a clear decision, a clear judgment, affirming that local governments now constitute a separate and financially independent tier of government. What this means is that every state, not just Rivers State, every state now has a chance to drive development, to rural areas, especially in Rivers State, where a lot of these communities have been abandoned. So I believe that the governor's insistence to organize this election was in fact the right thing to do, because it then gives the people the sovereignty to choose their leaders, and then we can now look forward to the next step, which is to establish corresponding structures of accountability to make sure that the funds that are allocated to these LGAs are properly implemented. The governor himself will hold back and say, okay, now that there are democratically elected structures at that level, how can we make sure that we come up with a template of development that will see to the needs, of the people in the state. So for people like Nyesom Wike, the FCT minister, to continue to insist and to inspire this kind of destabilization effort in Rivers State is something that has to be resisted on every front, because it is anti-Rivers State, and the Rivers people will continue to resist it.
All right, I'll take you from where you stopped, Dr. Tam-George, especially on accountability. Mr. Epelle is still with us in Abuja. I want your reflection on this. So how can local government autonomy bring about the much needed succor for the public, from the grassroots up? Is it a fail-proof scenario, against corruption and the issue of accountability as well?
Absolutely. I mean, just in line with what Austin did said, if you look at the rural areas, you will see gross underdevelopment, especially the present crop of politicians who are local government chairmen. All they do, most of them, not all of them, all they do is get the money, share it, pay salary, and nothing is done. I think with this financial autonomy, even though there's been an issue back and forth on how properly this can be administered, but this financial autonomy puts a lot of onus on those that are elected to govern at the local level to provide the much needed development. I think if truly and really the governors allows them to operate independently and use the resources that are given to them, I think we'll begin to see development, because I believe, that the problem we have in today's Nigerian democracy is traceable to the faulty foundation. That said, it takes us back to the local government structure. The structure of governance at local government has not, with enough attention, have not been paid to it. And that's why organizations like ours and several others are beginning to focus on how we can provide the enabling environment for the local government system to work in this country, because we believe that if it is given the opportunity and the resources that it deserves to provide governance at the grassroots, it will be a very good pilot for the national and subnational democracy to thrive. So in answer to your question, they have all the opportunities to drive development at the grassroots. And some of us, some NGOs like us, are going to become a watchdog that will ensure that the same way we track budgets at the national level is the same way we're going to track budget at the subnational, especially the local government. And that's why I want to say that I am totally disappointed with a crop of politicians, not all of them, in Rivers State, that are hell-bent in making sure that governance at the grassroots does not work. Just like it looks like they are succeeding and make sure that governance at the state level does not work. They are now taking it to the local government, which is very, very appalling. And we must resist it. Every lover of democracy must stand up against this evil. And we cannot allow them to determine our future by their own selfish end. We will resist it. People like me are not going to keep quiet. We will talk about it. We will make sure that it is front and center. The conversation is at front and center so that we can look at this evil and stop it from becoming a pandemic in our dear state. The Rivers people deserve better. We deserve better. We deserve better crop of politicians and leaders. These guys are not leaders. They haven't been able to lead themselves. How can they lead others? And so the good people of Rivers State have shown that despite the pressure, despite the provocation, that we can stand up tall and still maintain peace and deliver the much needed democracy.
Epelle, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on this issue of the Rivers State local government election. Also, we must appreciate Dr. Tam-George, Dr. Austin Tam-George. Thank you so much for your time.